Morning.
Morning.
Any questions?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess just walk us through, getting these many folks together, like-minded people, what it means in the grand scheme of what you guys are trying to do from the AG's office.
Well, we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem. We do what we do in law enforcement. We're going to continue to do that. But about 2 years ago, I, looked around and said, what's really working in regard to communities? What communities are being able to make a difference? And frankly, what we saw is that the communities that had a very viable, passionate, grassroots effort were the ones who were starting to turn the tide. We need treatment. We certainly need law enforcement. But ultimately, the most important thing, I think, is education and prevention. And it's got to come from the grassroots. And so, because I very much believe that, we set up this unit in our office, first with Jennifer, now with two more mothers who have lost children. And what they do every single day is talk on the phone, and they go out to local communities. And so my message today was to the superintendents and school board members from around the state of Ohio, you need a grassroots effort in your community. If you have one, God bless you, just keep going. If you don't have one, we'll come in and we'll work with you and try to show you what other communities are doing that really, really works.
General, what were you thinking about when you were watching the video about Marion?
Well, it's the second time I saw the video, and of course I had, as you saw at the press conference, I had met the parents before. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about my kids and my grandkids. I don't see how any parent can watch that video and not think about their own kids. This heroin epidemic, it is unique. I've never seen anything like it. It's unique because there's no group in our state that is immune from the tragedy. It doesn't matter what kind of income you have. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter, frankly, whether you live in a small rural community, a village, or whether you live in a city, or whether you live in the suburbs. It is absolutely everywhere, and it's cheap. It's abundant. The drug cartels have a great business model. I mean, they're selling it literally as cheap as you can buy a pizza, and literally they will deliver it to your house.
General, your opponent this morning said too many summits, not enough action. Do you get the sense that you're getting ahead of this?
I'm just not going to respond to what he has to say. We're in the arena every day, and we're doing what we can do. We set up a special heroin unit in our office. No Attorney General has ever done that before with any specific drug. But I will tell you that the most important thing any of us can do is to encourage grassroots efforts at the local level. That's why we have 3 people who spend their full time doing that around the state. That's why every speech I give, whether it's to a law enforcement group or who it's to, I say, look, the most important thing is not law enforcement. Law enforcement is important. Treatment is important. The most important thing is education and prevention. I was, many, many years ago, I was on the National Commission on Drug-Free Schools, and this was under Ronald Reagan's administration. I was in the United States House of Representatives. The one thing that I took away from that, that was the most important thing, is that you can't just talk about drugs in the 5th grade and the 8th grade, or pick a few grades to do it. You literally have to be communicating to kids in an age-appropriate way from kindergarten all the way through they get into college. Every single year you've got to do something. I'm not saying it's the school's responsibility, it's the community's responsibility. But something has to happen every single year. And the truth is, there are precious few kids in this state who have the opportunity to have some education in regard to drugs and prevention every year. It just doesn't happen.
Mike, a outreach worker told me yesterday that heroin can be gotten for $1 or $2 and it's readily available. I mean, how do you fight something that's so easy to get and you can take pocket change and get it?
Yeah, you know, again, we're not going to arrest our way out of the problem. I mean, what law enforcement can do over time is, you know, arrest some of the key people, get them off the streets, and ultimately what your goal is to drive the cost of the drug up. Frankly, that's what's happened with the prescription drugs. We've made some real progress in regard to prescription drugs. The natural progression is from prescription drugs then moving to heroin. We've driven up the price on prescription drugs. As we have done that, it probably accelerated what was inevitable anyway, which is the movement from prescription drugs into heroin. Heroin is as cheap as a pizza. People can start on heroin probably for, law enforcement tells me, for $20 a day. Now, what is different about heroin as opposed to an alcoholic, you know, an alcoholic, you know, might, first early stage alcoholic might drink a six-pack of beer a day. Later stage alcoholic drinks a case of beer. So it's a 4-to-1 ratio. The ratio, though, of what a heroin addict starts at and what a heroin addict ends up with can be 100-to-1, 150-to-1. So, Alan, you're right, they can start it cheaply, but what happens is houses are being broken into across this state. People are being robbed. People are being assaulted, all to feed the drug habit. If you talk to law enforcement, you know, if you could wave a magic wand and get rid of all the drug problems in the state, you know, you'd get rid of 80% to 90% of crime.
When it comes to treatment, the folks in Marion say not enough beds. You go to Fairfield County, they say hardly any beds, and then you come here into Frank County and they say waiting list. How do you get these people turned around if there's no place for them to go?
Look, quite bluntly, it's going to take more money. Treatment is not something we do in the Attorney General's office. We don't pretend to be experts, but what we have seen around the state is confirming exactly what you just said. I've held, I think, 11 meetings around the state, kind of town hall meetings, where we get to listen to what people have to say, and we also, you know, get to exchange ideas. And in each one of those, I encourage the grassroots effort. And frankly, in some of the communities we've been in, we pick up some great ideas. But you know, there's no doubt that we have to spend more money on treatment in this state.